Have you ever met someone who carries a quiet strength? Not loud, not showy, just steady, rooted. That was Lydia. She lived in Philippi, a bustling Roman city, full of travelers, merchants, soldiers, and ideas. It was the kind of place where cultures blended, where the air carried the scent of spices, and deals were made with a firm handshake. And Lydia, she had carved out a place for herself in this world. She was a seller of purple cloth, and that meant something. Purple dye was rare, drawn from tiny sea snails and expensive to make. Only the wealthy, the powerful, and the influential wore it. Lydia wasn't just selling fabric, she was selling luxury. She was running a successful business in a man's world, and she was known for her sharp mind and gracious spirit. But Lydia also had something deeper. She believed in God. Even in a city filled with idols and temples, she held on to faith in the one true God, quietly, faithfully, consistently. Every Sabbath, Lydia and a small group of women would walk out of the city gates to a nearby river. It was their place of prayer. No temple, no big structure, just the steady sound of water and the rustling of trees. On one of those mornings, something unexpected happened. A group of travelers approached, men, dusty from the road. Among them was Paul, the apostle. Paul had been led by God to come to Macedonia, and Philippi was their stop. Instead of preaching from a grand stage, Paul sat down among the women at the river. He didn't bring a performance, he brought a message. He spoke about Jesus, the Messiah who came not only for one people, but for the whole world. He talked about forgiveness that runs deeper than shame, and love that doesn't need to be earned. Lydia listened, and as she listened, something inside her shifted. The Bible says the Lord opened her heart to respond to Paul's message. It wasn't about pressure or a show. It was personal, quiet, like a door opening in a room that had been waiting for sunlight. She believed, right then and there beside the river. Lydia's faith wasn't just words. She took a step. She and her entire household were baptized. Imagine that scene, the sunlight dancing on the water, the joy on their faces, the quiet strength in her eyes. In a single day, Lydia went from listening to leading, from seeker to a pillar in a new movement of faith. But the story doesn't stop at the river. Lydia opened her home to Paul and his companions. She insisted, "If you consider me a believer in the Lord, come and stay at my house." And they did. Her home became more than a house. It became a gathering place, a hub for prayer, encouragement, and teaching. Many believe it was one of the first Christian meeting places in Philippi. She used what she had, her resources, her influence, her hospitality, to build something bigger than herself. No spotlight, no titles, just a heart willing to say yes to God. Lydia's story might not be as loud as parting seas or fiery miracles, but it's powerful because it shows how God moves through everyday people, business owners, travelers, families, friends who choose to say yes when their heart is stirred. She didn't preach a sermon. She didn't stand on a platform. She simply opened her heart and then opened her home. When you think of Lydia, picture a strong woman in a busy city, standing by a quiet river, listening. God saw her, chose her, used her. And sometimes faith begins just like that, not in the spotlight, but in the stillness. Not in the grand moments, but in the personal ones. Her story reminds us, faith isn't just what we believe, it's what we do with what we've been given. Lydia used her voice, her gifts, and her home to help build something that's still echoing through history. So maybe the next time your heart feels that quiet nudge, remember Lydia. Faith doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It just has to say, yes.